Hi, this is Ajay Anand and welcome to science classes from excelup.com. In this lesson, you will be learning about metals and non-metals. You will learn about the physical properties of metals and non-metals. Then you will learn about the chemical properties of metals and non-metals, and you will learn about extraction of metals. Let us start with the physical properties of metals and non-metals. This column shows various properties. This column shows the properties of metals and this column shows non-metals. So, as far as hardness is concerned, metals are hard while non-metals are brittle. This means when you will hit a non-metal, it can easily crumble into small pieces, which does not happen with metal. Metals have very high tensile strength, and because of this, metals can be used in making huge structures, load bearing structure. But non-metals, they do not have high tensile strength. Most of the metals, they are solid at room temperature, with one exception, that is mercury, while non-metals are found in solid, liquid and gaseous states. Metals are sonorous. The sonority means when you hit a metal with an object, it produces a typical sound, and because of this property, bells, they are made of metal. Non-metals are non-sonorous. Metals are good conductors of electricity and heat, while non-metals are bad conductors of electricity and heat. Metals are malleable and ductile. Malleability means the ability to be beaten into thin sheets. So metals can be beaten into very thin sheets, and ductility means that metals can be pulled to make wires, which is not possible with non-metals. So non-metals are non-malleable and non-ductile. Metals have high melting points and boiling points. So in most of the non-metals, they have low melting points and boiling points. Metals generally have high density. Non-metals usually have low density. Most of the metals, they are gray in color. Gold and silver, they are exceptions. Non-metals are available in many colors. Metal have a typical shine that is called metallic luster, while non-metals, they do not have luster. Let us now move on to chemical properties of metals. Metals, when they react with oxygen, they produce metal oxides, and metal oxides are basic in nature. Alkali metals, they react vigorously with oxygen. So examples are lithium, sodium and potassium. So when potassium reacts with oxygen, it produces potassium oxide. When sodium reacts with oxygen, it produces sodium oxide, and this reaction, it takes place at room temperature. So, and this reaction is highly exothermic. Magnesium and aluminium, they don't react at room temperature, but they can be oxidized when they are burnt. When magnesium is burnt, it produces dazzling white flames, and because of this property, magnesium is utilized to make fireworks. Aluminium also burns to produce aluminium oxide. The equations are 2Mg plus O2 is equal to 2MgO. 4Al plus 3O2 is equal to 2Al2O3. Zinc, iron and copper, they do not react at room temperature. They react when they are heated strongly. So when zinc is heated strongly, it produces zinc oxide. Iron produces iron oxide and copper produces copper oxide. The equations are 2Zn plus O2 is equal to 2ZnO. For iron, it is 3Fe plus 2O2 is equal to Fe3O4, and for copper, it is 2Cu plus O2 is equal to 2CuO. What about metals reaction with water? When a metal reacts with water, it produces metal hydroxide and hydrogen gas, but all metals they do not react with water at the same speed. Alkali metals, they react vigorously with metals, while other metals they react slowly, and some metals they do not react at all with water. So sodium and potassium, they vigorously react with metal. They react with metal at room temperature, and the reaction is highly exothermic. It is so exothermic that the reaction mixture catches fire, and that is why sodium is stored under kerosene water to prevent accidental fire. The equation is Na plus H2O is equal to NaOH plus H2. K plus H2O is equal to KOH plus H2. Calcium also reacts with water, but this reaction is not as vigorous as these two reactions, but the reaction mixture, it produces bubbles because of formation of hydrogen gas. Magnesium reacts slowly with cold water and produces magnesium hydroxide. The equation is Mg plus 2H2O is equal to MgOH whole 2 plus H2. But magnesium shows fast reaction when it is exposed to steam, and in that case it forms magnesium oxide. The equation is Mg plus H2O is equal to MgO plus H2. Zinc reacts with steam, but it does not react with cold water. The equation is Zn plus H2O is equal to ZnO plus H2. Iron reacts with cold water, but the rate of reaction is very slow. So it can take even months. So when iron reacts with atmospheric moisture, rust is formed, and it does not form overnight. However, iron reacts with the steam at a faster pace, and the equation for this reaction is 3Fe plus 4H2O is equal to Fe3O4 plus 4H2. As I have said earlier, other metals, they do not react with water like copper, gold or silver, or sometimes they may react very slowly. Metals reaction with dilute acid. In the chapter on acid, bases and salts, you must have read about metals reaction with acids, and in that reaction salt is formed and hydrogen gas is evolved. These are the reactions. Say this reaction shows reaction of sodium with hydrochloric acid, which produces sodium chloride, reaction of sulfuric acid with potassium, which produces potassium sulfate, reaction of magnesium with hydrochloric acid producing magnesium chloride, and zinc with sulfuric acid produces zinc sulfate. So all these reactions, they are about either hydrochloric acid or sulfuric acid. What happens with nitric acid? When metal reacts with nitric acid, hydrogen gas is not evolved, because nitric acid is a strong oxidizing agent and it oxidizes hydrogen to produce water. In the process, nitric acid itself gets reduced to oxides of nitrogen. But magnesium and manganese, they react with very dilute nitric acid to produce hydrogen. So this is an exceptional case compared to other dilute acids. What happens when a metal reacts with solution of other metal salts? On the chapter on chemical reaction, you must have read about displacement reaction, in which a more reactive metal displaces a less reactive metal from the salt solution of less reactive metal, and this shows some metals are more reactive compared to others. So this is the reactivity series which shows that potassium is the most reactive metal, followed by sodium, calcium, magnesium, aluminium, zinc, iron, lead and copper, and these are followed by silver and gold, which are inert metals. So let us see what happens with copper sulfate solution. When iron reacts with copper sulfate solution, it displaces copper to form iron sulfate, because iron is more reactive than copper. Similarly, when aluminium reacts with copper sulfate solution, it forms aluminium sulfate. When zinc reacts with copper sulfate solution, it forms zinc sulfate. In all these reactions, copper becomes free. But when silver or gold, they react with copper sulfate solution, no reaction takes place because these metals are less reactive than copper. Similarly, when copper reacts with iron sulfate solution, no reaction takes place because copper is less reactive than iron. Now let us talk about chemical properties of non-metals. Non-metals, they react with oxygen to form non-metallic oxides, and here are some examples. When carbon is burnt in air, it produces carbon dioxide. When carbon is burnt in limited amount of air, it produces carbon monoxide. When sulfur gets oxidized, it produces sulfur dioxide. When hydrogen reacts with oxygen, then water is produced. Non-metal oxides, they are acidic in nature, which means the aqueous solution of non-metal oxide will turn blue litmus to red. So here are some examples. When carbon dioxide is dissolved in water, it becomes carbonic acid, that is H2CO3. When sulfur dioxide is dissolved in water, it becomes sulfurous acid. When sulfur trioxide is dissolved in water, it becomes sulfuric acid, H2SO4. Non-metals, they also react with chlorine to form chloride. So when hydrogen reacts, it forms hydrogen chloride. When phosphorus reacts with chlorine, it forms phosphorus trichloride. What happens when a non-metal reacts with a non-metal? A metal reacts with a non-metal. To understand this, we need to focus on electronic configuration of a metal and a non-metal. So here is sodium, a metal. Its electronic configuration shows that there is one electron in its outermost shell. So sodium can easily give up one electron to make a positive ion, that is sodium cation. Chlorine, it has 7 electrons, it is in its outermost shell. So chlorine can easily gain one electron to complete its outermost shell and to form an anion. So that is chloride ion. So now what happens, say this electron from sodium, it is transferred to chlorine. So now the sodium is having fully filled outermost shell, the sodium ion. Chloride ion, it is also having the fully filled outermost shell, and that is how they make the compound sodium chloride. Since this compound is formed because of transfer of electrons, so this is called ionic compound. So metals and non-metals, when they combine, they make ionic compounds. Some of the properties of ionic compounds are hard, brittle and solid at room temperature. Ionic compounds have very high melting and boiling points. Ionic compounds are soluble in water but insoluble in organic solvent. An ionic compound conducts electricity in aqueous solution and in molten state. So this was all about physical and chemical properties of metals and non-metals. Now let us move on to extraction of metals. So before proceeding further, you need to understand the meaning of certain terminologies. One is mineral. Mineral is a naturally occurring substance with a well-defined composition. An ore is a mineral from which a particular metal can be extracted in economically feasible way. So all minerals cannot be ore, but all ores, they are minerals. Now before proceeding further, ore is subjected to a process called concentration of ore, which involves separating as much impurity as possible from the ore so that later processes can be carried out more easily. And the concentration of ore can be done by gravity separation, electromagnetic separation, flotation. So gravity separation is similar to sieving a substance. Now there are 3 types of metal: high reactivity, medium reactivity and low reactivity, and the extraction process depends on the relative reactivity of a particular metal. So for metals of high reactivity, the molten ore is subjected to electrolysis, and through this process pure metal is obtained. So this is a very simple process. In case of metals of medium reactivity, there are two options. They are found as carbonate ore and also as sulfide ore. So carbonate ore is subjected to calcination. The process of heating the carbonate ore in limited amount of air is called calcination, and sulfide ore is processed to roasting. Heating a sulfide ore in excess amount of air is called roasting. Both these processes, they produce oxides of material, and then oxide of material is subjected to heating so that the oxide can be reduced to produce metal. In case of metals of low reactivity, they are found as sulfide ores. The sulfide ore is subjected to roasting, as in this case, and then the oxide obtained is subjected to reduction to obtain metal. Now the metal which is obtained here, it contains some impurities, so it is sent to purification through electrolysis process. Let us look at some examples. These are metals of least reactivity, mercury and copper. Mercury is found as cinnabar, mercury sulfide. So mercury sulfide is subjected to roasting. It is heated in excess amount of air. The equation is 2HgS plus 3O2 is equal to 2HgO plus 2SO2. After that, the mercury oxide is heated to reduce it to get mercury. So 2HgO is equal to 2Hg plus O2. Copper is present as copper glance, copper sulfide. This is subjected to roasting. 2Cu2S plus 3O2 is equal to 2Cu2O plus 2SO2. Then it is subjected to reduction. 2Cu2O plus Cu2S is equal to 6Cu plus SO2. Metals of middle reactivity. The examples are for zinc, there are two types of ore. One is zinc blende, that is zinc sulfide, and another is zinc spar or calamine, that is zinc carbonate. So zinc sulfate, it will be subjected to roasting, and zinc carbonate, it will be subjected to calcination, that is, it will be heated in limited amount of air to get zinc oxide. Here also we get zinc oxide after roasting. After these processes, the zinc oxide is heated along with carbon to obtain zinc. Iron is present as hematite, iron oxide, which is subjected to reduction. So Fe2O3 plus 3C is equal to 4Fe plus 3CO2. Lead, manganese and copper, they are also available as oxides and they are subjected to reduction. Lead is heated along with carbon. Manganese and copper, they are heated along with aluminium to reduce them to get the metal. This picture shows the refining of metals. So here I have taken one example, that is of refining of copper. Other metals, they are also refined in the same way. The anode is made up of the impure metal and a thin strip of pure metal is made cathode. A suitable solution, in this case acidified copper sulfate solution, is used as electrolyte. So when electric current is passed through this setup, what happens? Because of electrolysis, copper gets released from the impure anode and it gets deposited at the cathode, and that is how we obtain pure copper. The impurities gets collected at the bottom of the container in the form, and this is called anode mud. So to sum up, I talked about physical properties of metals and non-metals. Then I talked about chemical properties of metals and non-metals with reference to reaction of oxygen with metals and with non-metals, reaction of water and reaction of acids with metals. Then I talked about reaction of metals with non-metals with special reference to ionic compounds, and I talked about the extraction of metals. That's all for this lesson. Thank you.